Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art, and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. In our VEDA series, we're exploring all various creative things that make me who I am and the things that I wanted to kind of celebrate and share with you in these little bite-sized videos. And today I wanted to highlight one of the art forms that truly captivated me on site, and something that was actually the longest span of time that I spent actually diving into one particular art form, and that is wood burning. So I started wood burning back in 2013. I remember being in Michael's and I would just walk up and down the aisles as I'm searching for things, and I would always go into that like wood carving, wood area. And I remember one of the first things that they would feature, one of the most prominent sort of, activities or tools that they would feature was this wood burning kit. It was the walnut hollow, like wood burner set. And I was just like, I don't really know what it does. Anywho, I thought to myself, you know what? I really want to test this thing out. I don't know exactly what it is or how it works, but I can't wait to dive into it. So I waited until there was a 60% off coupon at Michael's, and boy, oh boy, I bought myself that wood burner. I think it cost something like $30 full price. However, I knew that they had 60% off coupon, so I just waited. I got myself an amazing machine and I took it home. The first 3 projects I ever did, all I really used the tool for, it's a sort of like a pen that has a really hot tip, and you could change out the tips for different shading techniques that you would want to do. So basically I used my to do outlines. So I actually made these cute, memory jewelry sort of boxes that I was gonna give as gifts, and I made 3 of them. And I used the Wood Hollow Creative Versa tool to actually do all of the outlines. I wasn't as familiar with how to use it, how to set just the right heat temperature so that I wasn't getting too dark of, a burn on it, and it was just right. All of that. I was still working it out, but it definitely gave me at least familiarity using the tool. And then from there, honestly, guys, it was history. The next thing I made, I believe, was a gift for another friend of mine, and I made him this sort of wood burning of himself with a bass guitar and had all this information and stuff on it. And it was different because it was sort of like a silhouette sort of design, and I really enjoyed creating that piece also. From there, I think over that summer 2013, I had time. I think I was working here and there, but I had a ton of time on my hands. And the first big project I did was of my cousin, who I love her to death. And we had gone to Ulta when we were out, I think in Vegas or something. And she took this photo that was just so picturesque and so model-esque. I was like, you are going to be my muse this summer. And I just I painted an oil painting of that same photo, and then I used it as inspiration for wood burning as well. So with that wood burning, I wanted to really get into the intricate sort of line work that you often get in henna designs, because I was so inspired by that. And I used that throughout the piece, in addition to this, I think it's modern majesty or modern modesty or something like that. And I just thought it was so befitting, because that's a way that I often saw my cousin, as this really exemplary depiction of what it could look like to be firm in who you are, modest and beautiful. And I think she captured all of that, and that photo was just perfection. So I made that piece, and around that same time, one of the amazing community leaders up in the Baltimore area where I'm from, Naima, was setting up what she was calling the Art of Ramadan. That year, Ramadan happened closer to the summer, and it fell right in the middle of Artscape, so she secured some spots in a location for myself. I was selected to be able to exhibit, and a number of other Muslim artists from the area. And I was so into wood burning. So I wanted to make another piece for my exhibit. And then I was testing out some other mediums and other art forms. So I ended up creating some additional pieces that were more Islamic inspired, or I wanted to practice with architectural sort of structures. And that ended up being something that I was really excited about too. and I just dove into it. It was so, oh my gosh, wood burning teaches you patience like nothing else will. There's something about getting the temperature right. You think of wood burning, it's not a painting where if I don't like it, I can paint over it. Once you burn something, that is it, right? So it allowed me to be very intentional about each of the strokes that I was making, about each of the lines that I was putting down, about where I was putting my shading, and building up on the color of the shading instead of just trying to go for it all in one go. It was also something that I don't think had been seen that often, at least not in my personal friend group. So when I would share my works on Instagram, it was just so captivating and so different. And it was one of the things that attracted me to it to begin with. It also felt very reminiscent of a lot of the artwork that I would see back home, you know, from West Africa, in Guinea and in Sierra Leone, where I don't know that they do wood burnings as much as wood carvings, but it's definitely within that sphere of artwork that I've seen. So it felt nice. It felt like I was tapping into that traditionally inspired, meaningful art sort of thing. And then from there, I think as folks started seeing my passion for this and really themselves began to be intrigued by the craft and the art form, I received like commissions, and I would do portraits and just various things for folks. And that was really fun. It took me about 15 hours for each of my pieces, which were often 8 by 10 inches in size. So they weren't relatively huge. They were like a sheet of paper, right, of letter size paper. And the likeness that I was able to get out of that, the amount of detailing that I was able to get, I will say that I look back at some of my work and I'm like, really, you did that? And it's something about being out of touch with the medium, because I have not made a wood burning since, oh my gosh, I had stopped for a long time after 2015 started, but I think my very last piece was in 2015, where I made a wood burning in honor of one of the trustees or like board members or something for one of the nonprofits that I worked with for a time. And yeah, that was the last wood burning I can remember making. But aside from that, it was just such a phenomenal ride, you know, getting to get so familiar and intimate with this art form, because it truly felt like the longest period of time that I spent with such a niche sort of art medium, and it was so much fun. I still have that tool, that walnut hollow like wood burning tool, and I will also add that once I sort of proved to myself in that first year and started doing quite a few commissions, I then saved up and invested in myself and actually bought like a real wood burning tool. It was a razor tip, like SSD10 or something, and it had like dual pens, and they had the interchangeable, you know, like pen tips and things like that. And I just thought I was doing it up, and you could really change the temperature so much better. It was all these things, and I'll be honest, I used it for quite a bit, and then I think I broke one of the tips because they just were a bit more delicate. And then I went back to my old tried and true trusty walnut hollow $30, you know, wood burner, and I was set to go. At my height, when I was doing all of these commissions, I think I did quite a few. I think I did maybe over 20 commissions, if I've counted it correctly. And thank goodness for Instagram, because that's where I posted a lot of these, and that's what helped me sort of remember. And I could be off, I could be missing some, but in total, with some of the pieces that I had gifted previously, with some of the things even in my earlier days where they were just wood burned sort of outlines, I'll still count those. I think in total I made about 34 total wood burning pieces. Just, I mean, it's no small feat, right? So I think of the hours that I spent with that. I think of the memories that were made and the gifts that were given, and I feel really fortunate to have been a part of so many individuals' love stories, or their appreciation, or their moments of appreciation as they were celebrating others. And yeah, it was incredible. Wood burning is just a medium that I will never cease to be amazed by. I hope that one of these years in the future, I have the time that I can really just spend devoting to it, because I often do wonder how much further along in that creative medium would I have been if I would have stuck to it? How much better would I have been with my shading and my realism if I had stuck to it, and those sorts of things. But to be honest, it just was a very time-consuming medium. And again, to make 8x10 sort of pieces of artwork, it took over 15 hours. And that's just the wood burning, not like prepping the wood, framing it, and doing all of those things to make it sort of ready. And what I was charging at the time was like nothing, right? Like I was underselling. I was not paying myself enough at all for the level of work and detail and craftsmanship that went into it. But it was all a part of my journey, and I loved every single commission. There was heart in it. There was so much thought and love of the people that they were gifting. So I don't regret it at all. It was all a part of my journey. But I do look back and I think it just caused a bit of burnout. Like I could not keep up with the demand of it, with the demand of the time, and also didn't feel like the return on it was where it needed to be for me. And then like life happened. I went back to school. I started a family. I was while working full time, and trying to keep up with that was not going to work anymore. But it's something that I have, that I know that I can always revisit and go back to. But it is sincerely one of my favorite art mediums by far. And if you ever find yourself in Michael's and strolling through that like wood section where they sell those little like bits and baubles, look up the Walnut Hollow Versatool and just, I don't know, find yourself a 50% off coupon, okay? And take that tool home and see all of the magic that you can make with it, if that's something that's up your alley. But I think I still find it so fascinating and I love it so much. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing some of the images and some of the artwork that I used to do with my wood burning practice, and that it just is introducing you to something that might be a little bit less familiar and that you feel inspired in that. So as always, my friends, stay creative. Bye-bye.